Phils are back home on the East Coast, touchdown in Boston. We are on the road. Kyle Schwarber and Matt Strahm going up against their former team, the Red Sox, to get us back started here. 2-game split with the Mets over in London. Now we're in Boston, and we have a fun series with the Orioles coming up this weekend where we're going to see Corbin Burns, Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez. Good to get off to a good start here in Boston for the Phils. What is up, everybody? My name is Dan Shelfie. We are back once again with an episode of the Cherry Pinstripes podcast. My man Dre hanging out with us in the producer's chair. I am so pumped up right now because we're now getting into the American League part of our schedule. I like going up to Fenway, one of my favorite ballparks. Kyle Schwarber got the scoring started last night in the first game of the series. Homer to start things off. Is June Schwarber here? Has he arrived? The Red Sox fired right back. Jarren Duran scored on a Rob Refschneider sac fly in the first inning, but then we had a quick second and third, and in the fourth inning is where the Phillies really got going. Second and third after a Bryson Stott double, and Dom Smith makes an error on a David Dahl ground ball, gives the Phillies the lead, and then in the fifth inning, we start piling on. Schwarber with his second homer of the game, and you just can't miss middle, where Cutter Crawford missed on this Kyle Schwarber home run. Wheeler ends up going 7 in this game, gives up 1, only strikes out 4, but the ERA is down to 2.16 on the season. Strahm relieved him in the 8th, struck out the side. What else is new? His ERA is down to a .67, and then Alvarado, big bounce back inning after he blew the save in London, 3.41 ERA on the season for Alvarado. We're going to have Christopher Sanchez and Nick Pivetta, the Pivetta rivalry game tonight in Boston, and then Aaron Nola and Tanner Houck will finish out the series before they head to Baltimore. So just a current state of the union right now on our Phillies. Some turmoil. We lost Trey Turner a month ago. Brandon Marsh goes out. Now we have JT Realmuto, and this news kind of just got dropped on us like a bomb yesterday. JT's got to have meniscus surgery. The good news is it's not like any sort of crazy repair. Apparently, it's a 4 to 6 week thing. It's good that they got in there and got it done now, because you don't want to do what you did with Andy Painter, where you wait a little bit and you see what you can do without the surgery, and then you end up losing a whole season. So it's good to get in there, get it done now. This is a good opportunity for the Phillies to give Rafael Marchand a look, who's coming up from the minor leagues. Has been in the system for a while now, known for his glove. Stubbs obviously is the primary backup catcher with this team. He's got good standing with the pitchers. Nola loves pitching to him. When he gets in there, he's solid. It's tough to be good offensively when you're not getting regular at-bats in this league, so I kind of just brush the slash line of his off when I'm looking at it. I'm more concerned over this stretch without JT Realmuto. How are we going to look defensively? How are we going to hold the base runners? Because JT Realmuto is phenomenal at throwing guys out. And you just overall, JT Realmuto is a guy, he's an engine for this team, and he's a leader of this team. So we're going to be going through a little stretch here where Stubby's going to get regular at-bats, and we're going to give Marchand an opportunity. Marchand's known for the glove. We've seen him come up and before. He's had games here or there over the years. This is probably going to be his opportunity to solidify himself as a role in the team. Might see him get a few more games than you might expect. Stubbs isn't going to get the lefty-lefty game, so Marchand's most likely going to see all the lefties moving forward, and I'm excited about it. Now, I want to talk about some Phillies standouts, and we are going to start with our MVP candidate, Bryce Harper, who I think is going to end up winning the MVP this season. You got 2 guys out in LA that are going to be tough to beat, but they might take some votes from each other. Might see those guys take some votes from each other. Bryce Harper right now is batting .278 with a .919 OPS, 15 homers, 42 walks, 162 OPS plus. But let's go in even deeper. Let's get some more context here. With runners in scoring position, Bryce Harper, 77 plate appearances this season. First of all, he's got 18 walks and only 14 strikeouts. That's a great ratio. Batting .386, .520 on base percentage. The OPS is .1380 with the .860 slugging. He's getting on base at a .520 clip with runners in scoring position. Since Trey Turner went out on May 3rd, from May 4th until today, 32 games for Bryce Harper, batting .319 with a 1,011 OPS, 9 homers, 27 RBIs, 20 walks, over a 162 game pace. That's a 46 homer, 137 RBI, 101 walk season. That's nearly getting on 300 times over a 162 pace. That's how that man's been playing since Trey Turner went out. We talk a lot about it. Mundo Sosa has stepped up. A lot of guys on this team have stepped up, particularly the role players. But Bryce Harper has also stepped up. He has been the MVP that we've needed with a co-star on the shelf. He's been great. Now, Nick Castellanos, another guy I want to talk about. He's played exactly 66 games this season. We're cutting it in half. First 33 games of the season for Nick Castellanos, he batted 180 with a 488 OPS. Genuinely one of the worst, if not the worst, everyday player in baseball for those first 33 games. It's just the reality. But over the last 33 games, he has started to turn it around. Not the Nick Castellanos you want, still just the 240 batting average, 755 OPS. But at least there, he is an above average hitter. He's a productive player with a 755 OPS. The thing I love about Nick Castellanos this season, not having his best year, and I don't think there's anything he can do really to clean up the overall slash line. He's going to have to go on an absolute tear for his stats to look good at the end of the season. Generally, they're just not going to look good. But with runners in scoring position, just like Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos has been very good. 61 at-bats with runners in scoring position, and this is no shave. This is the whole season, including those first 33 games, batting .262 with an 802 OPS over 61 at-bats, only 11 strikeouts and 8 walks. He has barreled down, locked in, and had really good at-bats with runners in scoring position. We've seen him in the playoffs last year hit the clutch home runs to get the momentum against the Braves. As long as he's hitting with runners in scoring position, have a solid second half. I don't care what his slash line looks like at the end of the season at all. He could be batting .213 when the season ends. As long as he's been improving as the second half goes on and continues to hit runners in scoring position, I can live with Nick Castellanos exactly the way he is. Now, Jose Alvarado, another guy I want to talk about. Jose Alvarado is kind of in a weird spot with Phillies fans. He gave up the grand slam to Yordan Alvarez in the World Series a few years ago. When he's not locating the cutter, it can be very hard to watch. It's tough when your guy comes out in the ninth and he doesn't have his stuff. It's like, oh man, it brings me back to the Hector Neris days. Hector Neris was the only good reliever in a really bad bullpen, and he got thrown out into the fire in every tough situation. And, those ninth innings sting a little bit worse than the sixth. When you blow the lead in the sixth or the seventh, there's still game left. When you blow the ninth, it hurts. There's no room. You're the last line of defense. So it stings a little bit more. We saw a little bit of an overreaction to the Jose Alvarado blown save over the weekend. 31 games this season, 3.41 ERA. But in 29 out of those 31 outings, he's given up one or less. 25 of those 31 outings, scoreless. He gave up 5 runs on opening day, and he gave up 2 runs in London. That's it. Other than that, he's been one of the best relief pitchers in the National League. We just got to simmer down a little bit on Jose. Those ninth innings, I get it. They sting. The Phillies are in a unique situation right now with the back end of their bullpen. A lot of fans feel like there's no identity, and I get it. It would be nice to have like a solidified guy for the ninth inning. Let me try and change your perspective a little bit. Instead of viewing it as we don't have a ninth guy, we have 2 ninth guys. We have 2. Jose Alvarado and Jeff Hoffman can both handle the ninth. I don't know if it's my favorite strategy. I'm a little bit more old school too. I'd love to have a Mason Miller type that you just give the ninth to no matter who's coming up. But the Phillies are not in a bad position with the bullpen that they have right now. And that's why you see Matt Strahm getting used all over the place. Matt Strahm, the way he's pitching right now on most clubs, would have already found himself closing games. But because we have 2 good guys that we can roll out in the ninth, we can keep using Matt Strahm whenever we want. And he's been a weapon. Alvarado and Hoffman in the back just frees us up to use Matt Strahm however we want. 27 straight outings since Matt Strahm gave up an earned run. Gave up runs to the Braves opening weekend, first time on the mound, has not given up an earned run since. Gave up 1 inherited runner against the Rangers, 1 inherited runner against the Giants. Other than that, no one has crossed the plate since March 29th. And like I said, we're using him a million different ways. 6th inning up 5. eighth inning 1-run game. He's getting holds. He's coming out for an inning and a third sometimes. He's been a weapon, and Matt Strahm is probably going to find himself in the All-Star game despite not having very many saves. July 30th at 6 p.m. is the 2024 Major League Baseball trade deadline, and the Phillies have already been circulating in some rumors, but not the rumors that the fans thought. We've all been talking bullpen depth. The Phillies are really looking for an outfielder. And we are seeing some outfielders open up. Luis Robert is currently being shopped around by the Chicago White Sox. But what would that cost? We're talking about a superstar talent with a couple years of team control left. There is some injury hazard there. What's the price tag? I'm out on Luis Robert if it's costing you Aiden Miller or Andy Painter. If you can put together some sort of deal with like a Mick Abel, Justin Crawford, we've got some guys in single A performing really well right now. I wouldn't mind throwing an Algieri in there. If you can get a Luis Robert without moving Miller or Painter, I'm in. I don't think that's possible though. Same reason I've been out on Mason Miller and I kind of wanted them to go lower on relief pitching. I just don't want to give those guys up. There are hard rumors that the Phillies are interested in Jake McCarthy right now though from the Arizona Diamondbacks, who's a player who's been streaky. Very good in spurts, though. I almost feel like this is a Brandon Marsh type of move from a few years ago. I don't know what this would do once Brandon Marsh comes back. If they go get a Jake McCarthy, who's more of a role outfielder than like a starter, what does that do? Does he go into center field and Rojas moves to the bench? I'm okay with that, but that adds another lefty to the lineup. Does that give Whit Merrifield more at-bats? Do we DFA Christian Pache in that situation because maybe you want another righty? If that's the case, who goes down? Adding a Jake McCarthy type is like an onion here. There's layers to this. I'm so curious how that would go. But I do think Jake McCarthy would fit into this team well because my whole thought process with the player I'm about to get to, the guy I would like to see the Phillies add, I'm trying to put myself in the driver's seat of the playoff team. It's the 6th, 7th inning of these playoff games. We've gone to the bullpen. Strahm's out. The Phillies are up 1 or 2. 2 years ago, I watched this team put an outfield of Kyle Schwarber, Matt Vierling, and Nick Castellanos in the outfield of the World Series. There's an opportunity here for this team to roll out defensive outfields of Brandon Marsh, Johan Rojas, Jake McCarthy, or the guy I'd like to see, Matt Vierling. I would love to see the Phillies call Detroit for Matt Vierling. And those late inning playoff games where you're trying to better the team defensively, you want a guy off the bench, you can get Nick Castellanos out of right field. Brandon Marsh, Matt Vierling, Johan Rojas is light years better defensively than what we've seen this team have in the World Series before. That is the hole I think they're looking to plug here. A good defensive player that can hit in spurts, but is going to end up playing the outfield defensively late in September and in October. Jake McCarthy does fit that role. I think Matt Vierling is a better target, though, because you can just start him in center. Now Rojas is your bench outfielder, and Matt Vierling is starting every day. He's turned himself into a player since he left here 2 years ago. Detroit loves him. The fans love him. That guy's playing third base right now for fun just because they need it. He's versatile. Wah Matt Vierling. He already knows the clubhouse. He fit in great here. The fans were actually upset that he had to go. Him and Maton. That trade, Soto. Give me Matt Vierling back. Keep Soto on the team. You can't say we lost the trade if we still end up with every dude that was involved. If you'd like to get your thoughts and opinions on the Phillies on the show, I'd love to react to it. 267-225-6377. Talk to me about these trade rumors. Talk to me about the deadline. What do you want to see the Phillies do? What can they do to improve? So I want to hear your thoughts. If you're listening on YouTube, let me know in the comment section down below. Who do you think the Phillies should target? What do you think the package would look like? Are you up here, tier A, Luis Robert? Are we going middle pack, Matt Vierling? Are we looking for a role player type in Jake McCarthy? What do we do after we make this move? Is it Pache that just gets straight DFA'd? Do we send Rojas to AAA and then bring him back up as a replacement later? I don't know. 2 more against the Red Sox starting tonight. We got Nick Pivetta on the mound. We got the Orioles this weekend. The next podcast is going to be early next week. We're going to do 2 in less than a week here. We're starting to ramp it up. We got Padres coming to town next week. 6-game homestand. We'll get Ryan back in here again. Then we have the defending NLCS champs, the NLCS rematch with the Arizona Diamondbacks in Philadelphia on the weekend. We got Cole Hamels retirement night that Friday, the 21st. We will get my man Dalton in here. We're going to have guests on the podcast next week. Good 6-game homestand against some solid NL opponents. I'm looking forward to it. 10 games up on the Braves already in June. No one's seen this coming. I'm pumped up, and we'll see you guys next week.